The stars burned cold over the planet Veltraxia, a world known for two things, its silver deserts and its proud, secretive people. No outsider had ever been allowed into the royal cities of Veltraxia. No human had ever set foot on their land. That changed the day the war came. It wasn't a war of soldiers. It was a war of silence, betrayal, and politics between three powerful alien empires. And somehow, Earth was dragged into it. At first, the Veltraxians ignored the humans. To them, humans were loud, unpredictable, and far too emotional. But after a failed peace summit and a destroyed satellite colony, both sides were forced into a fragile alliance. That's how Commander Elias Wren, a clever and calm human officer, ended up on Veltraxia, on a diplomatic mission no one wanted, especially not Princess Savannah. She was the daughter of the Veltraxian High Matron. Her skin shimmered like amber glass. Her silver hair fell in waves down her back, and her voice, sharp as a dagger. When she first saw Elias, she smirked. "You've sent a human?" she asked the council. "Not just a human," Elias replied, calmly. "A translator, a soldier, and a man who doesn't like being underestimated." Savannah laughed. "Then let me give you a challenge, human. Guess my true name, the one no outsider has ever known, and I'll marry you." The room fell silent. Elias smiled. "You really play with fire, princess." "Don't worry," she said, "no human has ever won." For Veltraxians, names were sacred. Royals had many names, public, formal, and one secret name spoken only, in bonding. That name gave others power over them. Knowing it was a sign of absolute trust, or terrible danger. Savannah didn't think he would take the challenge seriously, but she didn't know Elias. Later that evening, Elias stood alone in the quiet garden behind the royal tower. The stars above Veltraxia felt different than Earth's, closer, brighter, quieter. He tapped into his data tablet, pulled up every old treaty, poem, cultural hint he could find about Veltraxian customs. "Your name is a puzzle," he said to himself, "and I like puzzles." Elsewhere, Savannah stared out from her window. "The human is strange," she whispered, to her maid. "Clever," the maid replied. "Too clever," she said. "But he'll never guess it. My name is older than war, older than the stars. Still, for the first time in years." She was curious, not afraid, not proud, just curious. The next day, Elias returned to the council. He stood before Savannah with a calm look in his eyes. "Are you here to surrender, human?" she asked. "No," he replied. "I'm here to speak a name." The council gasped. Savannah's smile faded. "You wouldn't dare," she warned. "You told me to try," he said. "I only follow orders." He stepped closer. And then, he said it, a name not heard in 100 years. A name hidden in a forgotten poem. A name buried in ancient data, spoken in perfect accent. Savannah's eyes widened. She didn't laugh. She didn't move. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Because he was right. She thought it was a joke. He thought it was a game. But when he spoke her true name, the entire room knew something sacred had just been broken. The throne hall of Veltraxia was never silent. But after the human, Elias Wren, spoke Princess Savannah's true name, it was as if the air itself stopped moving. No one spoke, not even the princess. She stared at Elias, her eyes wide with disbelief. Her lips trembled, but no sound came. How? Could he know it? That name was passed only through blood, not recorded, not spoken outside the sacred chamber of bonding. "Who told you?" Savannah finally whispered. Elias answered calmly. "No one told me. I listened." She turned to the council. Their faces were pale. "You must be punished," one elder said. "No outsider can speak the sacred name." "He was dared," another replied. "By the princess herself." "It doesn't matter," a third shouted. "It's forbidden." Savannah raised her hand. The room went quiet. I made the challenge. He accepted it, and he won. The elders looked stunned. You can't mean... He guessed my true name, she said. By law and custom. That makes him my chosen. That night, Elias was placed in royal guest chambers under heavy guard. Not as a prisoner, but not quite a guest either. He stood near the window, looking at the stars. The door opened behind him. It was Zivana. She walked in slowly, her face unreadable. You're not like other humans, she said softly. That's good, Elias replied. Because you're not like other aliens. She didn't smile. How did you really find it? Old records, songs, a forgotten love poem your people once traded with humans long ago. But why go through all that effort? Elias turned to her. Because you challenged me, and I never back down from a challenge. Savannah sat down across from him. You don't understand what you've done. That name, it connects us now. Connects how? He asked. My bloodline recognizes it. My body reacts to it. It's ancient magic, not just tradition. So what happens now? She looked down. My heart doesn't get a say anymore. The next morning, a group of guards escorted Elias through the inner palace. People stared as he passed, some in awe, others in disgust. To the Veltraxians, this moment was unheard of. A human who knew the sacred name, a human who now had a claim to their royal future. He was taken to the High Matron, Zivana's mother. She was powerful, wise, and cold. Her voice filled the chamber without shouting. You are brave, human, and perhaps clever. But that name was never meant for your tongue. I never meant to insult your people, Elias replied. I followed a challenge your daughter gave me. You're not the first to try, but you are the first to succeed. The matron rose. The bond has begun. That cannot be undone. But know this, if you betray her, if you use the name for control... She stepped closer, eyes like burning glass. You will not leave this planet alive. Meanwhile, Savannah stood in the sacred garden of her ancestors. Her fingers brushed ancient stone carvings. She whispered her own name aloud, and the stones glowed. Her bond to Elias had awakened something deeper, something old and forgotten in her bloodline, a power once sealed, a link once forbidden, and now a prophecy long ignored began to stir. That evening she met Elias again. My people are divided, she said. Half want you dead, half want to worship you. What do you want? Savannah looked into his eyes. I don't know yet. But if you're going to be part of this, you need to understand something. What? She stepped closer. You didn't just speak my name. You called back something older than names. He thought he won a challenge, but he may have awakened a power. Even the royals fear. Princess Savannah was no longer sleeping. Since the moment Elias had spoken her real name, she felt it, a pulse in her blood, a soft pull in her mind. It wasn't love. Not yet, but it was connection. Strange dreams came to her. Dreams of old Veltraxian, queens who had bonded with warriors from far-off stars. Names whispered through ancient trees, symbols glowing beneath the palace floor. And in every dream, a human face. Elias's face. Elsewhere in the palace, Elias trained in the courtyard. He wasn't just a clever human, he was also a soldier. His body moved fast, sharp, focused. The Veltraxian guards watched in silence, surprised by his skill. After the session, Zivana approached him. You're not just smart then, she said. I try to be full of surprises. She walked beside him as they strolled through the ancient halls. Do you know what happens if our bond completes? No, Elias replied. But I'm guessing it's not just marriage and fancy dinners. Zivana nodded. No, if our bond seals, you won't just be connected to me, you'll be connected to the royal bloodline and every secret it holds. And if I walk away? Elias asked. Zivana stopped. Then I'll survive. But the bond will not. And some old Powers will remain asleep forever. Later that night, Elias couldn't sleep. He sat by the window, staring at the stars. Why was he really here? A challenge? Pride? Or something else? He thought of Earth, still recovering from war. Thought of the peace treaties his people signed, the long journeys to alien worlds, and he thought of her, the way her voice changed when she wasn't pretending to be strong. There was something more to this bond, and he was starting to feel it. The next morning, the High Matron summoned them both. She looked tired, older than before. Your names are now bound, but you must face the trial of echoes to complete the bond. What's that? Elias asked. It is an ancient test, she replied. You enter the vault of names. It speaks to you, shows you the truth of what you carry. Savannah paled. That place hasn't been opened in generations. Then it is time, the matron said. The vault of names was carved into a mountain behind the palace. The stone doors were covered in glowing writing, both in Veltraxian and an older unknown language. Only two could enter at once. No guards, no light. Elias and Savannah stepped inside. The doors closed behind them. Darkness, then whispers, soft at first, then louder. Name, name, name. The walls lit up with old symbols floating in the air. Savannah's eyes widened. It's showing our memories. Images surrounded them. Elias's childhood on Earth. The war. His team. His losses. Savannah's training as a royal child. Her fear of bonding. Her secret wish to explore beyond her world. It's not just a vault, Elias said. It's alive. It's judging us, Savannah whispered. The chamber pulsed with golden light. A voice, deep, ancient, filled the dear space. Are you truly bound by trust, or only by curiosity? Elias stepped forward. I came here for a challenge, but I stayed because I saw truth in her strength, in her fire. Savannah stepped beside him, and I mocked him. I thought, no human could touch my world, but he didn't just speak my name, he saw my soul. The chamber grew silent. Then the light faded, and the door opened. Outside, the High Matron waited. Did the vault speak to you? Elias and Savannah nodded. And did it accept your bond? It did, Savannah said quietly. But inside, both of them felt something strange. The bond was complete, but it had awakened something older than either of them. They passed the trial. They earned the bond. But now something ancient watches them from within the name itself. The palace shook. Cracks split the crystal walls. Sirens wailed in strange alien tones. Royal guards shouted orders in every direction, trying to hold the chaos together. Elias grabbed Savannah's hand as flames erupted down the corridor. Who's attacking? He shouted. Savannah's voice was cold and focused. They call themselves the Name Hunters, ancient enemies of my bloodline. We triggered the vault. Now they want to stop the bond before it finishes. Too late, Elias said. You're already bonded. Exactly, she said. That's why they'll kill you first. They ran through the back halls of the palace. The invaders were fast, shadow-armored beings with no eyes, no mouths, only smooth helmets and glowing weapons. Elias fired a plasma pulse from a stolen rifle, striking one of them in the chest. It stumbled, then turned its head sharply toward him, as if it had no pain. These things don't bleed, he muttered. They're not alive the way we are, Savannah said. They were made long ago, to destroy name-bearers like me. A blast tore through the wall. Savannah shielded them with her arms, and the explosion stopped in midair. Just stopped. The fire froze, then vanished like smoke in the wind. Elias stared at her. What did you do? Savannah's eyes glowed faintly gold. I don't know, she said. But I didn't mean to. They reached the inner temple, where the final bond chamber was hidden. There, the echo of her name pulsed in a sacred stone, glowing like a heart. "If we seal the bond fully," Zavanna said, "they won't be able to touch us." "What happens if we fail?" Elias asked. "Then my name dies, and you die with it." She stepped into the circle. Light wrapped around her body. Symbols floated through the air. Elias followed, standing across from her. "Speak it again," she said. "The name you guessed." This time, not as a challenge, but as truth. His voice was steady. He spoke the name. The moment it left his lips, the entire room erupted in light. The invaders broke through the temple door and stopped. Zavanna stood glowing, her body surrounded by flowing energy. Her eyes burned like stars. Her feet hovered just above the floor. Elias stood beside her, calm, connected, glowing in her light. The name hunters raised their weapons. Zavanna raised one hand. Enough. Her voice echoed not through sound, but through space. Through the stone. Through the enemy's armor. And then, the invaders dropped to their knees. Their armor cracked, their weapons melted into air, and then they were gone. Not dead. Erased, like they were never real to begin with. Silence returned. Zavanna dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Elias caught her before she fell. "You did it," he whispered. She looked at him, her eyes still faintly glowing. "No, we did." Hours later, the palace was calm again. The royal council met in secret. Some were furious. She bonded with a human, against tradition. Some were in awe. She woke the vault, erased the name hunters. No one has done that in thousands of years. The High Matron stood tall. "It is done. The bond is complete. And so is the prophecy." In her chambers, Zavanna sat with Elias beside her. "I feel stronger now, like I've lived 100 lives in one day." "I feel lucky you didn't kill me with your mind," she smiled. "There's still time." He laughed. "So what now? Am I your husband?" "Technically," she said. "You're more than that." "Oh?" She leaned in. "You're my shield, my equal, and my secret." She unlocked her ancient power. He survived what no outsider should. Now the world will kneel or rise under the name they share. For centuries, the royal throne of Veltraxia had passed from one pureblood heir to the next, always from within, always unquestioned, until now. Princess Zavanna had completed a sacred bond with a human. The name had been spoken. The vault had awakened. The power had returned. And now, the council had a problem they didn't expect. In the royal chamber, 12 elders sat in silence as Zavanna entered. She wore traditional white robes, flowing, ancient, glowing faintly at the edges. At her side stood Elias, dressed in ceremonial black armor, gifted only to warriors of royal honor. One elder finally spoke. "The bond is complete, that we accept, but what we do not accept is him." He pointed at Elias. "He is not Veltraxian. He is not one of us." Zavanna's voice was calm but sharp. "Yet he is the only one who guessed the name, the only one who stood beside me when the old powers rose." "Where were all of you?" Another elder growled. "Our people will rebel if you place a human at your side on the throne." "Then let them," Zavanna said coldly. "Let them test my power and the bond that saved this world." Elias stepped forward. "I didn't come here for power. I came here because she challenged me, and I found more than I expected. If you want me gone, I'll leave, but know this, she doesn't need your throne, you need her." The room was silent again, until the matron entered. Zavanna's mother stood tall, wrapped in red silk and silver armor. Her voice echoed with command. "The old ways are breaking. I feared it. And now I see it was always meant to happen." She looked at her daughter. The bond has made you stronger, wiser. You are ready. But power is never accepted without cost. What cost? Savannah asked. You must take the trial of flame. The council gasped. That hasn't been performed. In 800 years? Then it's time, the matron replied. If she survives, she rules. If not, the bond ends, and the name is erased forever. That night, Savannah stood in the sacred volcano temple. The fire beneath the chamber boiled and hissed, alive with ancient energy. Elias stood at the gate. He couldn't follow her in. Are you sure about this? He asked. Yes. If I don't prove myself, they'll never let you stay. Or me. She leaned forward and whispered, no matter what happens, remember the name. He nodded. I never forgot it. She stepped into the flames. Inside the fire temple, Savannah was stripped of her power. No glowing robes, no bond strength. Only her will. Visions attacked her, past rulers screaming at her, blood from old wars, the faces of every ancestor who told her she was not enough. But she walked forward, step by step, until she reached the center. And then, she spoke her name again, not the one Elias had guessed, but the true name behind it, the one she had been afraid to face, the name of her future. Outside, the sky turned gold. Fire erupted into the sky, but it didn't burn. It sang. And when the dynasty doors opened, Savannah walked out alive, eyes blazing, body glowing, crown of light resting on her brow. Elias smiled. Took you long enough, she grinned back. Had to burn some ghosts. They tried to silence her. They doubted him. Now, fire walks beside a human and the throne will never look the same. The great square of Veltraxia Prime had never been this full. Thousands of citizens stood shoulder to shoulder, eyes fixed on the platform above the temple steps. Hover cameras floated overhead, broadcasting the event across the stars. For the first time in Veltraxian history, a royal was about to speak to the galaxy, beside a human. Savannah stood in her new armor, black and gold, lined with energy veins that pulsed with her bonded power. Her crown glowed like a second sun, and at her side, Elias Wren, calm and steady, now no longer just the human, but something more, a name-breaker, a protector, and a symbol of unity. The royal trumpet sounded. Savannah stepped forward. The crowd hushed. You all know my face, she began. You know my voice. But until now you did not know my true name. A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. I once protected that name with fear. Then I gave it away as a joke. And a human called it out like it meant something. She turned to Elias and smiled. Now I speak it with pride. Because when I shared it, I became more. She looked back at the people. The bond has awakened something ancient in me, but not just in blood, in purpose, and it is time to share it. The people waited. Savannah spoke her name aloud, clear, strong, and final. The name Elias had once guessed in a chamber full of doubt, now spoken freely. It lit the air with golden light. Every temple bell rang by itself. Every ship across the system paused as the signal reached them. From today forward, she continued, the old rules are broken. Blood no longer binds this throne. Honor does. Bond does. Truth does. And this human, she said, placing a hand on Elias's chest, stood by me when no one else did. He didn't take my crown. He made me lift it higher. The crowd was silent. Then a whisper grew. First one person, then 10, then thousands. Savannah. They spoke her name, not the royal title, not the formal code, her true name, freely, with respect, with unity. But not everyone watched with joy. Far above, in a dark chamber orbiting Veltraxia, a figure in silver robes stared at the broadcast with a cold smile. She's done it, the figure said. The bond is complete, the crown is hers. Another voice hissed, mechanical and cruel. Then we activate the final trial. A black console glowed. Let us see if her name can survive what comes next. Back on Veltraxia, Savannah and Elias returned to the palace. But the moment they stepped inside, the ground shook. Walls trembled. Lights turned red. It's a seismic alert, Elias said. No natural quake does that. Savannah closed her eyes. She felt it. A shadow inside her name. A piece of the echo she hadn't unlocked. They're testing me, she whispered. Someone buried a final seal and now it's breaking. The throne room cracked open, revealing a hidden chamber below. Inside was a being made of pure memory, flickering in and out of space. Half data, half myth. It spoke in many voices. She who dares speak the sacred name must face the one who first created it. Savannah stepped forward, power rising in her hands. Elias moved beside her. You don't have to fight this alone, he said. I never was alone, she answered. Together they entered the final chamber, and when they left it, the darkness was gone. And Savannah's name was no longer a secret. It was a legend. She joked about a name. He spoke it with courage. Now the Iowa galaxy speaks it in unity, Savannah, the bonded queen, and the human who dared to love her.